You're alive. You're alive, eh? Okay, we are live. See, here we have no problem. At the temple, only for the Kriyas, the cause was like,
Are you sure?
hmm,
I think the cell phone tower is far from here.
yeah, maybe the internet.
Yeah, because even if we live stream a program, we have an issue. Yes, that this phone is hooked to that chat.
Okay, now we need to sort this out. Let's see.
Sorry.
Let's see if we can sort this out now.
That's so nice actually to go through all of Krishna's qualities in his class. It's like in some of the devotees don't like to hear so much like we don't have so much like Harikatha and like in other places.
When you travel in India, it's exactly what you say. You see the difference between the mood.
Yeah, you just a number.
Yeah.
Thousands. They have greed, you know, like they want to bear the mercy. Like,
Yeah.
that's also the footage of God. Oh, they throw these out to themselves. It's so amazing. Even Prabhupada's disappearance.
Yeah.
I was watching Mayapur. That's so nice. Are we using the TV, Prabhu?
You want me to help you?
Yeah, it's on the settings now. Alright. Okay. What we're gonna do, so there's a handle with this handle here. Let's pick it up.
Shoes. Heavy.
It's not true.
Your back's okay.
Yeah.
Both of you. Your back's okay.
No, fine.
Oh, it just needs to move. I think that to get doing stuff.
That's it.
What's shadowing? Oh, the camera of the TV is causing a shadow.
Oh, wait, what is?
Hmm?
Wait, what is?
Oh, I had some notes there. Can I switch it up? Hmm? You're gonna use it. Is that rain?
It's like
Last time it was like.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
So that needs it, eh?
Mr. Rahman, yeah.
Mm.
We had a bit of teaser last week.
Yeah, it's like tickling the surface. Hare Krishna.
You can sit here.
Even Ruba Flava knows your spot.
That's fine.
How's your week?
Hectic. Monday. I just go straight from work, yeah.
Oh, health's okay?
Sorry?
Health is okay?
Feel much better.
Mm-hmm. You have to edit it. Oh, I think you must sing today, Prabhu. That's me.
Just pass them. Oh, what's that? Just start it from the first screen. Start it from the first screen. Namameshwaram Sachit Anandarupam Laksat Kundalam Gokule Bhajamana Yashoda Beyalukarmadavamana Param Mustamadyantato Dutya Gopya Udantamo Nectar Yudmam Rajanta Param Bhujayugmena Satanka Netra Muhu Swasatam Patire Kanta Kanta Stita Grivam Damodaram Bhakti Iti Biswali Labi Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimanjantam Matya Payantam Tadeya Sita Deso Bhakta Jitatva Puna Prematastam Sata Vrittibande deva moksham na moksham vadimva na chanya vranya ambare sadapiha. Idam teva punata gopala bala sada me manasya virastam kinanye. Idam te mukham bhajam atyantanile Vrutam kutalai snigdha ratascha gopya. Muhustumbitam bimbaratadharame Manasya virastam malam vakshalabe. Namo Devadamodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabhaduka Jalabhimagna. Vipadeste vejate dinam bhatano Grihana shamamagnam edachidrishe. Kuvera majo badao mrutyaya yadva Tvaya mochita bhakti bhajo krutocha. Tata prema bhaktim shakam ne prayacha Namoksha graha mesti damodareya. Namaste stu damne spurvati damne Pradiyo dharayata vishvasya damne. Namo Radhikaya Tadya Priyaya Namo Antalilaya Devaya Tubhyam. Namam Vishwaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Vrajamana. Yashoda pavamana param rustamatyan dato drutyadopya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Radha Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Prabhupada Nectar Gaura Hariba 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 Nectar Gaura Hariba Jai Shri Radha Damodar Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gopram Translation. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose Shakshat earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shiny in divine Dharam Goku, who due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning the butter and stealing the butter, was kept hanging from his swings, quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar. In fear of Mother Yashoda, and was caught from behind by her, ran after him greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Shidamada, I offer my humble obeisances.
Seeing the moving stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with three lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
For such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in a pool of ecstasy and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in Nobita. He is supreme with best majesty and opulence, and he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is in pure intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. The great lover again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara with hundred and hundred of hands.
O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the form of impersonal revelation, nor the highest revelation of eternal life, Vedanta, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the nine processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours is Balakapala Vrindavan, may any deep manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other form besides love?
Oh Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by the loss of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the from butter. There's this beautiful vision of your lotus face, ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are used.
Oh Lord, just as the two sons of Kubera, Manigrava and Kubera were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by your own form, a baby tied with a rope to a guiding motor. In the same way, please give me your own Krishna Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of decoration.
O Lord Damodara, first of all, from our obeisances to you, the brilliant Father and Gopi binds your belly. And then offer my obeisance to your belly, which is the bone of the entire universe. And I humbly bow down to the most beloved Srimati Radharani and offer these obeisances to you, Supreme Lord, in this place, unlimited pastime.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki Jai Shri Kartik Prata ki Jai. Bless you. Can anyone say by looking at this picture first of all, what's unusual? Hmm?
It's all right.
It's all white. Do you know why it's all white?
Painted all white.
Mm-mm. In real, there's you heard that Purnima is full moon. So when there's full moon, then Radha and Krishna, they meet for their pastimes. So on that day, that night, Purnima, Radha and the deities are dressed in white. You know why? So that Radharani, who's golden in complexion, when she's dressed in white, she can walk in the moonlit night, and she'll be incognito still because of the color. And Krishna, because the moon is so bright, then it creates shadows. So Krishna, because he's dark in complexion, he hangs out in the shadows behind the trees, etc. So he can be unnoticed. So that's how they escape to their allotted places of pastimes. Very nice. So much can be said. And then see how nice this artist has depicted a little grove there. You see that cave, like the entrance, and then for privacy they put flower garlands. The creepers, uh, whatever color Radharani is wearing and Krishna is wearing. So the trees, who are all conscious beings, they will then give that color flowers. So then they can't be, if they lie down in a cave, they won't be noticed. So all those creepers, etc., they blossom in those colors for that particular purpose. And like you can see today, it's all white in this picture. Even the lotuses are white. So nice. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Giridhari was holding up the hill with one hand and he could play his flute with the other, like in this picture. So, welcome to chapters 21 and 22 of the Nectar of Devotion. Let's chant together. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padara Vinna Bhajanam Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Rago Yago, Shri Jiva Gopala Go. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all over the three worlds, and they're worth taking shelter of, because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving services of Radha and Krishna. So last chapter we finished off at a certain point where the components of love were discussed. So if you missed it, I'll quickly go over it, and also because it's so nice to recount the elements of. So bhava is made up of different elements, and those elements, it began with the description of vibhava, right? So vibhava is when there's deep meditation on a subject, like Mother Yasoda's deep meditation on Krishna. So she thinks about Krishna, and that love, even when she's doing all of her household chores during the day, is actually like in the background. It's there, it's very much present in her consciousness. Now, what happens? That love, we said Krishna, he's Rasaraj, he squeezes a lot more than you can give, right? So just say you've got so much of love to give. Krishna, he can make that a higher quality of love, right? Because that's how he is. And one of the things he does is that um, when Mother Yasoda's mentality, for example, is like that, then Krishna, he would then come forth and reveal his face. So even if his face is like a dirty face, or he's babbling, his childish babble, whatever, but the sight of Krishna is then something that draws or pulls the heartstrings even further. You're thinking of him, but can you imagine now he appears in front of you? So you feel more love for that, for Krishna. Then, so that's Vibhav. Then the other category was Vibhav, then there's Anubhav. So Anubhav is, now you see this beautiful face of Krishna. You've been thinking about him all the time. So that right? So and then you saw him. That was Vibhav. Then the next step is Anubhav. Anubhav is, we said, when that face that appears in front of you, you now want to touch him, you want to rub his back, you want to smell his hair, you want to have some interaction with the person. So the love becomes so much that you can't just stop at thinking about him, but you want to do some physical act. Then the next step of love is that when this happens, automatically you go to the stage of sattvika bhav. So sattvika bhav is when now you're free from the three modes of material nature, and in sattvika bhav, involuntarily symptoms of ecstasy starts showing in your body. You either you start sprouting tears of ecstasy, you get stunned, so many things start to happen to the body. Symptoms of ecstasy start to physically manifest in the body. Then you get, after sattvika bhav, you get another type of love called aggressive love. Prabhupada terms it as aggressive love, or vyabhichari bhav, right? And in this state of aggressive love now, your Krishna will pull your heartstrings. Like, can you imagine when Mother Yasoda saw Krishna being carried by the Trinavata demon high into the air? It's like, he's gonna fall off the cliff. Something's gonna happen to him. So that aggressive love, Krishna pulls Krishna pulls that. It's like a tug of love with your heartstrings. That's what he does as Rasaraj. Or when Mother Yasoda saw Krishna on the hoods of Kalia. Kalia is this monstrous serpent who's spitting out venom. Birds are dying when they even just fly over where Kalia is. So he's such a dangerous person, monster. And here's baby Krishna, whose feet are butter soft. He's now standing on the heads of this serpent. So Mother Yasoda couldn't contain herself. She fainted. So this is aggressive love, vyabhichari bhav. Then it goes to the next. Then you get sthayi bhav. Or sthayi bhav is actually, it has staying power, right? That there's no coming down from it. Prabhupada had that poster, "Stay high forever" in the early days. So once you get to that situation, you actually don't come down anymore. So Mother Yasoda, she's so fixed in the understanding that she is Krishna's mother. Somebody else can go and say, "Oh, this is the son of Devaki," and it doesn't bother any bit, because why? She's fixed in the understanding that Krishna is her son. And in the previous chapter, in chapter 19, we heard about how the devotees on the high levels of bhava, they believe that Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. So when it's I am Krishna's, then Krishna can do whatever he wants to. But when Krishna is mine, I must do everything for Krishna. So everything they do is for Krishna. And then chapter 20 then concluded very nicely on how Krishna takes your hearts to a different level by manifesting himself in different forms. So he takes different forms, and the example Prabhupada gave was when Brahma stole the cows and cowherd boys, then what Krishna did? Krishna multiplied himself, and he went home as those cowherd boys and calves. And the parents, they felt extra love. They loved their children so nicely. They loved their children so much, but when they saw Krishna, when they saw their children come home, which was a form of Krishna, they became more endeared. So the end of chapter 20 described Anya Rupa, where Krishna takes an entirely different form to stimulate his devotees' affection. So that was what we just discussed. Anya Rupa is the first of many ways in which Krishna stimulates ecstatic love. Chapter 21 now begins by describing the second way that Krishna will then stimulate love. First is he expands himself. Second is how? So, Vibhav is your devotional excitements. So we said Vibhav is you excited about your love for Krishna, you meditating on him, and then he shows himself. Now, Vibhav as Udipan, basic, and Alambana. So what is that? That which causes love for Krishna to appear is called Vibhav, and two divisions, Alambana, in which love appears, and Udipan, by which love appears. So the Udipan is a stimulant, right? That someone may see a peacock feather, and then they think about Krishna. Or they may hear his flute, and they think about Krishna, and their love increases. And then and then alambana is in which love appears. So alambana has two further divisions, like you see here, the vishaya and the ashraya. So the vishaya is that object that is loved, which is Krishna. And the ashraya is, for example, Srimati Radharani. That person who is giving the love. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, he says that the person, the ashraya, he is Vishaya, he is Krishna himself. He is the recipient of the love. And the devotee who's giving the love, Srimati Radharani, she's experiencing more joy than him. And that's not right in his book of records, right? He wants to now taste what is she experiencing. So Krishna, he expands in his own form sometimes to stimulate this love. So that means Krishna in his own form will disguise himself, Prakita Rupa. So Krishna will disguise himself in Avrita Rupa, or he will appear, he will expand himself into, the cowherd boys, etc. So we've discussed this a little more. So there's two things you must remember. There's his own form and there's a different form. So Krishna in disguise, like you see very nicely, the artist has depicted in this picture, that Krishna now disguises himself as a gopi and he comes. And he's a very attractive gopi, In Avrita Swarup, Krishna in disguise, Srila Prabhupada says, when Krishna is covered by different kinds of dress, his personal feature is called covered. Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Uddhava said, how wonderful it is that this woman is attracting my ecstatic love exactly as Lord Krishna does. I think she must be Krishna covered up by the dress of a woman. Now, Uddhava, he could recognize this by dint of his love. In the pastime of Mohini Murti, Lord Shiva, he could not control himself. When he saw, of course, he desired to see Krishna in the form of a lady. And then when Krishna revealed himself in that form, Mohini Murti, to please Lord Shiva, he just couldn't contain himself. Because can you imagine, a man is naturally, Prabhupada writes in so many places in the Bhagavatam, man and women have natural attraction. But when you see Krishna as the opposite, the attraction is like, the heavenly damsels, the Bhagavatam explains, compared to the earthly beauty queens of earth, are considered to be frogs. See my back. There's next to Rupa. Excuse me. So what happens is that when Krishna expands himself like this, there's a difference between Anya Rupa and Avrita Rupa. So this Anya Rupa is completely different expansion, and Avrita Swarup is Krishna's own form, superficially disguised like someone else. So when Krishna is disguised, he actually, excuse me, when Krishna is in disguise, he manifests all 64 qualities. But his expansions, they don't have all of those 64 qualities. They just are for a specific purpose. So Krishna as he is. When Krishna is as he is and he disguises himself, the Prakriti Swarup, Krishna's own form, undisguised, stimulates. Bhav, look at that nice picture. Show him. For example, so Krishna undisguised stimulates the devotee's affection. For example, one devotee praised the bodily features of Krishna when he saw the Lord in his personal manifest feature, Prakriti Swarup. He exclaimed, how wonderful is the personal feature of Lord Krishna. How his neck is like a conch shell. His eyes are so beautiful, and as though they themselves were encountering the beauty of a lotus. So Krishna's features are so beautiful. It's described that when you first meet Krishna, I told you this before, it can happen that you will faint because it's such a festival for your eyes that you've never encountered something so beautiful. Your nose has never encountered something that smells so nicely. Krishna smells very nicely. And then, you know, when Krishna embraces you, the touch of Krishna's body is inconceivable. So, some of the things or the stimulants, udipans means the stimulants, include Krishna's transcendental qualities. His activities, his beautiful smiling face, and the aroma of his body, the sound of his flute, the sound of his ankle bells, and the conch shells, the marks on the sole of his feet, his dwelling place, and his paraphernalia of devotional service, such as tulsi leaves, devotees, ceremonial performances, and Ekadashi, the ecstasy. So the udipans or the stimulants can be any one of this. Now, if I tell you, okay, you know, when you hear Krishna's flute, you're going to be so attracted, it's going to draw your heart. That's one thing. Now, you know, when Krishna's really small, when he's performing the Damodar Leela, like we hear throughout this entire month, at that age, Mother Yasoda doesn't put clothes on him. He wears a belt around his waist, and that belt has got teeny weeny bells all around it. Every time he breathes in and out, it's making a rhythmic sound. When he sits down, it makes, you know, not just a thud, it has its own ring. Very attractive. So the gopis, they used to do different things. You know, the elder gopis, they would tell Krishna, dance for us. You know, when you're small, how the adults can control you. So it happens with Krishna also. So they tell Krishna, dance for us. And when you dance for us, we'll give you something. When you dance so many times, now just say 13 times, then we'll give you some yogurt. The special yogurt, we churned it special. It never tasted this before. So what Krishna does is he starts to dance in obedience. And they say, okay, now how are we going to keep count of all of these dances? Because they don't have counter beats, right? So what they do, they make their own counters. They take some cow dung and they put a dot on his face. His blue face that's shining. Krishna's face has got such a glow. His skin has got a natural glow. So they take some cow dung and they make a mark somewhere. So Krishna dance again, second mark, third mark, 13 marks or whatever, right? Then they say, okay, we put some yogurt here in your mouth. Then you have to dance again because it's tasty and he's reciprocating with their love. So you dance again, mark his face again. Another couple of marks there. And that really endears them to see this beautiful face shining through all of that cow dung in its complete beauty. Can you imagine? That's like really fascinating. Then the lines on his neck, 3 marks like a conch shell, is very attractive. The soles of his feet is reddish in color. And I remember there was this devotee many years ago when we were traveling to India to study every year. At that time, I made friends with one Prabhupada disciple, and she was really advanced and very, very acquainted with these subject matters, etc. So in her room, I saw something so unique. She had a table in the corner. She had what looked like this upper piece of Krishna's cloth, you know, his upper cloth, his chadar. She had a flute and a peacock feather left there. So when you walk past that table, it's like, oh, Krishna's going to come to fetch his stuff. You know, it's that reminds you of Krishna. It was like so powerful when I saw that. It's like you're expecting Krishna to return and fetch his stuff. So you know, and it was worshipable indeed. So in this type of consciousness, there's actually a story of a devotee called Mukunda. So Mukunda, this story is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Mukunda was a physician. So a physician of high repute also. But he was also very devotional. Lord Chaitanya had told him, Mukunda, I want you, Mukunda had a brother also. So Mukunda told, Lord Chaitanya told Mukunda, I want you to gather spiritual wealth and material wealth, right? So Mukunda had to continue his service as a physician and maintain his brother, who was also a very good devotee. So Mukunda's consciousness was like this. Remember, we're talking about Udipan, right? Keep that at the back of your consciousness. So Udipan means when you see something in relation to Krishna that's related to Krishna, you're going to now start thinking about him in a greater way. So there was this king, this Muslim emperor, and he understood that this physician Mukunda was of a higher consciousness. But he was having a conversation with, a regular conversation with Mukunda, and the servant, understanding that the sun was shining a bit too strong, he saw a peacock fan close by. So he took the peacock fan and he put it on the head of the king to shelter the king from the sun, the heat of the sun. Mukunda was having a conversation